There are a few songs that are like world class song for the ages. Hymns of our day, and certainly In Christ Alone is in that mark. And so, in this new collection of hymns from the Getty songs, we have done a fresh arrangement of that. We're so excited, and we actually have Keith Getty, who I'm sure has spoken about this song so many times over so many years, but it just has that depth of quality. So here we are with Keith Getty, Travis Cottrell, Mason Brown, talking about In Christ Alone, one of the signature songs in our Christus Victor collection. Here we go. Well, In Christ Alone, I mean, is there anything left to say about this song other than to just, remember that uh, every now and then, not only through a year or a couple of years, but through an age, there are songs that stand out as giants. And Travis, you actually have a very deep personal connection to this song, I know. And Keith, in fact, you're both kind of battling for, who could do the best version of In Christ Alone over the ages. But
I'm
so
perfectly happy to
incredible.
lose.
There you go. There you go. So, why don't we start with you, Travis? I mean, you've carried this song deep in your heart and through your ministry for probably 20 years now, and yet still we have this fresh new arrangement. Tell me a little bit about the life of this song in your ministry,
Well,
Travis.
yes, I do. Keith and I have had so much fun banter over this song,
Yeah.
for so many years, and so it's with a lot of reverence that I have that banter.
Yeah.
Um, 2003, I was working on a record when I was with Integrity Music, and we were looking for the moment in the record still. Like the record was coming together, and Paul Mills was producing, and Christ Alone was the song that I brought to the table, and they had brought another song similar in the sense that it was a modern hymn, that it was kind of like an AAAA hymn, kind of thing, just like a long verse hymn. And I just had this sense in my spirit that In Christ Alone was the way to go. And so, we created that arrangement, and it just took off. It took off in the church. Those were um, that kind of became. I was also at the beginning, the crest of. I had been with Beth Moore for a number of years. I was beginning to be really involved in print music. That just kind of where things were kind of moving, shifting upward, and everything. And so that song was kind of what kind of had the momentum for me and my worship leading life
Mm-hmm.
with Beth, and my arranging life as an arranger. And so I've since recorded that song. I don't know how many times. Well, I guess the three big ones were that one, and then I did a live version in 2009 on a record called Jesus Saves Live, and
Yeah.
then again in 2017 with Tommy Prophet producing it on a record called The Reason. And
Mm-hmm. All of
listen,
which
I
outsold the Getty recordings. So,
no, don't. We're not.
yes, yeah.
That's not true. I will just say this: like, uh, I my leading gift is that of a worship leader. Like, you can take the artist stuff. You could. I don't. If I don't write another song, it won't be the end of the world. All that kind of stuff. I lead as a worship. My leading
Yes.
gift in my life is leading worship, and there's no song that I don't think in my life I have led that and captures a worshipful moment for a believer like that song. And it
Hmm.
feels as fun and spiritually invigorating today as it did in 2004, 2010, 2017, whenever, whatever arrangement, it doesn't matter. So,
Yeah.
love that song. I'm
Amazing.
talking too
Well,
much, but
Keith, I know you have talked about this song so many times, so many interviews, so many stories. If I just was to ask you, like, what's one capstone story in your life as a minister of music? If you just think of one experience that was like, that was, I don't know, that was just a standout. Can you think of something in the story of
I
In
think
Christ
there's
Alone?
yeah, I think there's many stories. I mean, to me, I mean, first of all, I think Stuart Townend, deserves most of the credit for it. It was
Yeah.
I wrote the tune and I did the title, and I, and for me, the most exciting thing, almost as a companion to traditional hymns and as a companion to the modern worship movement. The modern worship movement effectively started in the second half of the 60s and didn't really have a global hymn that would compare to something like How Great Thou Art, Great Is Thy Faithfulness, and
Yeah.
the hymns of the previous generation. And that was kind of our dream, was to do something. And in the kindness of the Lord, the Lord did it in the first hymn that came out. And I think that was basically just to sort of remind me that I actually hadn't a clue what I was doing, because I've never been able to repeat it. Do you know what I mean? And so it was so I think in that sense it really was, Stuart's thing. I think, to be honest, the thing I get most excited about is when I hear, you know, the two things I get most excited about would be when I hear it in other languages and see it being used around the world. I think that's an exciting thing. But honestly, the thing about great hymns, and that's any great hymn, is you remember the first place you heard it, and every time you sing it again, something new becomes fresh. It's why the great Christmas carols are so wonderful, because every Christmas you grab a different nugget out of Hark the Herald Angels Sing that makes it come alive in an even new and fresh and special way. And so I think that's right. I mean, our band joke that we never rehearse it because they should be paid extra if they have to rehearse it. Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yes.
But it becomes part of people's life. Why PraiseCharts is so important is because you're giving to people a sung grammar for their faith and a sung soundtrack for their life. And that's why the people who are listening and are choosing the songs for their families, for their churches, for their choirs, why it's such an important job. And anyway, very grateful for what you're doing.
Well, Keith, before we're going to listen to the song together, but I was just thinking about the beauty of you writing such a world-class song so early in your ministry. It's almost like it's set up like a domino for your life vision, really, which has been to write songs for the ages, like a new age of modern hymns. And you have been doing that, really flowing out from the momentum that was started with In Christ Alone. I mean, imagine if you didn't have In Christ Alone in the beginning, it just may have been harder to...
It would have been a very different... No, it would have been a very different story for sure.
Totally.
And so I'm at least sensible enough to realize that there has to be a significant amount of humility, because that was just the kindness of just the kindness of the Lord in that case.
But how many years are we later? Are we at to 30 years?
So next year is the 25th anniversary. So next year,
25
next year,
years.
Next year they're planning a bunch of events around the world, and they've got a bunch of exciting things they're planning for second half of next year. So we're looking forward to that second half of 26.
Well, let's listen to this. And fun fact is actually Travis's daughter Lily is leading on this song. A beautiful voice, and Travis, you must be so proud. So let's listen.
Yeah.
In Christ alone, my hope is found.
You know what I love about that arrangement, just listening to it again, is because I've seen the song, in a chord chart or in various arrangements where it feels like there's a lot of chords moving. There's potentially a lot of movement in the song, but this arrangement is just, it just has this kind of cadence and rhythm, and I don't like
Hmm.
Yeah.
simplicity to it without simplifying the song, but I can just hear that
So
finesse
how did you
in the
how did you guys
arranging.
put it together? I feel exactly the same as Ryan. It's so
Yeah.
it actually feels quite fresh, and that's in the. I mean,
Wow.
there's. We were informed last month there are over 42,000 print licenses for this one song. For over
Oh
Wow.
my
42,000.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
And so
40, I'm
we actually,
40,000 of those.
yeah, and so and so and so, but actually to come up with something that fresh. I mean, I have two questions. How did you do the arrangement? And tell us more about your daughter and her singing. So that's my two questions.
Okay.
Well, I will say when we were doing the Getty collection basically and choosing songs, and come to this moment where how do you do a collection of Getty songs and not doing Christ alone?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
to be quite frank, I was like, I I got nothing. Like I've poured my heart into the last couple of versions of this. I don't have anything in me to make it different because I
Mm-hmm.
love my very last version, even though it has the hymn in it.
Mm.
I
Um,
told you, listen, to be clear for everybody out there, I told him he should do a 20th anniversary of that version and do it again and put that stupid hymn back in again.
so
I,
anyway,
ca-
I
I
was
can't say
like,
stupid. That hymn is Johnny Erickson Tada's favorite hymn, so I shouldn't I
Okay.
shouldn't be calling it
Yes.
stupid. So
yeah, you be careful. I just lobbed it to Mason. I said, Mason, um, I need you to think of something. And I really this feels like a more pop approach. It
Yeah.
feels like where a lot of churches land, musically speaking. And so I'm really thankful for Mason just kind of taking this. There's some givens when a song is this known. There are some
Mm.
chord structures, especially when you're doing a choir arrangement. If you do something that is just so left field. I mean, not enough left field to make it completely like a whole different thing, but if you just inch it a little bit off, it's gonna not be it's gonna be hard for a choir and singers who sing harmony to embrace. So we
Yeah.
took those givens that I believe are givens in the chord structure of the song and how most of the church sings it, and worked around that and kind of gave it that pop approach. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Mason knocked that out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mason,
Mason.
tell us more about it. Tell us more about it, Mason, because I had to arrange It Is Well With My Soul for a movie 3 years ago, and I nearly went
Oh my
mad trying to
gosh.
work out how do you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tell me how
Yes.
you did it. What was your thinking?
Well, I mean, Travis is right. Like when we first started talking about this project and doing this song, my, I guess, fondest recollection of this song is Travis's last album, 2017 album that Tommy produced with this that version in Christ Alone. And it was kind of hard for me to get away from that. Like I just like in my mind, like those are things that I would want to do. And so when we started talking about this, I was just like, okay, well, I just need to get away from that and like, what would I do? And
Yeah.
I do go to a church that is very modern worship facing, and like they don't have a choir, and so or an orchestra. And so I kind of sat down and was like, you know, how would my church do this?
Yeah.
And what would I want to hear? And I didn't really. I mean, I didn't want to change the structure of the song. Like everything else I like about it. And so it was just how do I kind of envision a new modern worship version of In Christ Alone. And so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, I just sat down and played those first four opening chords, and that hook kind of came to me. And I mean, it literally like, I kudos to, y'all in the song. Like it works. It's beautiful, and it really just kind of unfolded from there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Keith, I think what's neat about you ask how they did this. I think with both Travis and with Mason, both of them arrange out of their own context. Like it's Mason, so often he's just sitting in church on a Sunday morning, just breathing in. I mean, he's having his own worship experience, but then coming out on a Sunday afternoon and just like thinking about how that impacts his own arranging. And you have an incredible context because I've sat with Mason at his church, and it's got that. It's modern, but it's respectful of tradition, respectful of the generation. So it's not like modern with lights and lasers. It's just modern, like, oh, this belongs in 2025. This is, I don't know. And then I feel like, because I've sat so many times in Travis's church where you do have the orchestra and the choir, but then still bringing that modern sound. And I guess, I mean, Keith, your whole vision for life is creating modern hymns. So this word modern is like, we're just trying to reflect our current culture, our current context as well as possible. But between Travis and Mason, what they both experience every Sunday, I feel like the sound that we are emulating is this kind of combination of both of those. Seems to reflect the voice of a lot of people. So
agreed.
So incredible. Anyways, there's nothing else to be said about In Christ Alone, and no other recordings ever need to be made. So it stops at 40,000.
Travis, thank you, daughter. Does she sing a lot? Does she sing a lot of recordings?
Yes,
she does. I mean, the first time she grew up singing. All three of my kids did. When she was 16 years old, I popped her in the studio and she did a lead vocal for a version of that Tommy Prophet did of "What a Beautiful Name" with "On You Stay." That kind of, I don't know, it kind of set her on a trajectory. Now she's not a singer for a living. She's 20, almost 25 now. And she travels and sings with me on the road at conferences and at church. But yeah she's just
certainly that What a Beautiful Name. I mean, I think there's 4 or 5 million hits on YouTube. That is like become the signature video piece for Travis, and he was that song was led with Lily. That's now 5 years ago that you did that. So incredible.
Over 5 years. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Keith,
Like
I will
8 or 9
send
years
you
ago.
I'll send you a link to that video, and then you can just see who that person is, because I know it's amazing when you hear a piece and you're like, that voice. Lily is incredible, and then of course on Christus Victor we have Brooke Voland singing. She's an incredible voice as well. So you guys find incredible, just amazing voices and beautiful songs. So it all comes together.
Yeah.
So just quickly, we're just gonna see all the resources that we have here for the song In Christ Alone, and we are able to make all the orchestra and vocal parts and tracks, choir tracks. I mean, there's no way that your congregation is not going to be singing on this song, but take an arrangement like that we have, it just strengthens the power of that full harmony voice that can come from a choir if you do have that. And I think that your congregation will just experience, musicianship within your church to a whole nother level. That's what we're trying to do. So that's In Christ Alone, and it's on the Christus Victor project. There's no way that we could not include it. So we gave it our best crack. And Keith, I'm so glad that you loved the arrangement. That's very encouraging.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
here we
you.
go.